So maybe we just take a deep breath together. If you're here with us, just take a big inhale through your nose. And let it out through your mouth. Just do two more. Inhale. Let something go, arrive. And a third through your nose. And let it go. Welcome, everyone that's joining us today. The biggest, warmest welcome to Helen. We are so grateful and honored to be able to practice with her this afternoon, wherever you are. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Danielle. I'll kind of be your host, and I'm pretty new to Pilates as well. So you guys can look at me, but don't think that I'm the shining example. We'll kind of just laugh together, and we're here to have fun and move and be energized and get more in touch with our bodies, which I'll let Helen speak to here in a moment. But I just love doing things like this. As the national educator at Sigmatic, wellness is so much more than just what we put in our body. So yes, this is, partly about fueling our bodies with plant-based protein and the nutrition we need, but wellness is so much more than just what we put in us. It's how we move, it's how we think, how we breathe. And Helen and I are so aligned in the way that we view wellness as this holistic practice. So you're in for such a treat today. If you haven't practiced with Helen yet, let me just read you a little bit about who she is. Helen is a body neutral Pilates instructor. She's an intuitive eating coach, a reiki practitioner, a prenatal and postpartum corrective exercise specialist. She is an eating disorder survivor and the creator of Helen Phelan Studio, which is a virtual Pilates studio and community for women craving movement that feels amazing, minus the body shaming. She has been featured in and contributed to Well and Good, Huffington Post, Bustle, In Style, and so many more on the topics of body neutrality and body shaming in the fitness world. Thank you for doing this and being here, Helen.
Thank you for having me. I'm so pumped to move with you all.
Yeah. Do you want to just give a little intro of how anything we should expect, what we're up to, best practices?
Totally. So sometimes when I say, this is a body neutral space, there's no judgment around, taking the hardest variation or what your body looks like in a movement. They automatically think, okay, this is going to be like a lazy class where I don't do anything. No, actually it's just the opposite. When you're really paying attention to your body and listening to what modifications or progressions you may need to keep your best form and to continue to challenge yourself, you're actually getting so much more out of the movement. And each exercise that we do is going to become not only more powerful and more effective at helping you get stronger, but it's going to be a little bit more intense sensation wise too. So just stay really aware of your body. I'll be cueing you throughout class to pay attention to what those sensations coming up feel like and breathing through them. Also, fully feel free to take as many breaks as you need. This class is for you. It is not for me. I can't even see you. So it's totally fine if you take a break when you want one.
That sounds great. Thank you. We do have a question that I'll address now, and then we'll also have a few minutes at the end if you can stay for a Q&A. But Terry from Mendocino is asking, and maybe we can incorporate this into the flow, but what is the best way to keep our body aligned when we're sitting at a computer all day, especially doing distance teaching? So any of us, I'm guilty of that too, all day. So
Absolutely. So you're in luck because I'm doing a lot of posture stuff today. So we're going to really work on opening up through the front body and strengthening the posterior chain so that we're able to maintain, because stretching is all well and good. It helps us relieve pain symptoms, but without strength, it's hard to get those stretches to hold, you could say, or to maintain that function, when you're off the mat and picking your kid up off the ground or leaning over to do the dishes or, daily life. You spend so much longer doing daily life activities than you do even if you work out every day, which I would argue is too much to be working out. It's really important to be able to integrate that into life in general. So stay tuned. We'll talk about it as we move.
Amazing. And for those of us that don't know, before we get flowing, can you just give a brief 101 of what is mindful movement. So we're not just starting crazy, but we have that mindfulness piece, which is so important.
So sort of what I said before, movement is mindful when you pay attention to your body and the experience of the movement throughout. So it's not just, for lack of a better word, mindless exercise. You're not trying to get out of your body. In fact, quite the opposite. I view movement as a way to reconnect with the body. So by paying attention to how you're breathing, I'm going to be cueing your inhale and your exhale throughout the entire class. Also, Danielle just instinctively put her hand on her heart there. That's a really great way to find awareness, hands-on. I'll be cueing you how to do hands-on corrections for yourself so that you can feel that feedback that you would get if you were, in a real life class with me and I could put my hands on and adjust you. So learning to become more body aware and to have that control about making your practice what you need it, whether again, it's that modification or progression we spoke about before, or just feeling like when something's out of place and when you have to hike this hip or straighten out or whatever it is, so that it's just a bit more grounded of an experience.
Amazing. That all sounds so good.
Yeah, we're going to work hard, maybe work up a little sweat, but it's going to feel really great. You're going to walk out of here for the rest of your day feeling a little bit taller, a little bit more open. I'm excited.
Yes, that's what we want.
Amazing. All right. Should we get going?
Let's jump in.
Cool. All right. So let's make our way over onto our mat. Can I make myself bigger just so I can see spotlight. Yeah. There we go. That way it's easiest to see me. Make your way onto your mat and we're going to find our hands and knees position. So hands and knees or quadruped is shoulders right on top of the hands and hips right on top of the knees. Double check that that's true because I see a lot of this when I have persons, back in the before days, people back in the before days. And I have saw clients in person. So double check that your alignment is where you want it to be. And then just take a few shrugs and lifts around the shoulder blades. So not shrugging like up and down, but instead chest to floor and then chest back. I'm going to tuck this in so you can see my body a little bit more easily. I am hugging the abs up and away from the floor as I lift my head and chest up. And I want you to think about pressing the back of your head up to the ceiling. So our head is nice and heavy, but if we let it sink down, well, clumps of hair everywhere. We let it sink down, we're just contributing to that forward head or that tech neck posture that stresses out our neck. So instead, head in line with the spine. And I want you to feel an active pinch between the shoulder blades as you sink the chest down. And then an active spread of the shoulder blades as you lift the chest up. We'll go for 3. And 2. And lift, we stay lifted. Now keeping that same strength around your shoulders. So don't let your weight hang in your joints. Instead, use your muscles to support the system and arch your back. Let your abdominals completely relax. So just total release, no gripping, no sucking in. And then use your pubic bone to initiate, curl your spine under, look in at the belly button. Repeat, arching as you inhale, big breath through the nose. Exhale, hug the abs inward towards the spine, lift the belly button up towards the sternum. And repeat, take that a few more times at your own pace. Fully releasing through this front line. I want you to think extra focus about letting tension go along the abdominals because we spend so much time sucking in, wearing really high-waisted pants. I love me a good high-waisted pant, but sometimes that can create pressure on the pelvic floor that actually keeps us from building strength there. So you want your muscles to be equally strong and supple. So we have a nice even length strength relationship. Come back to a flat back or a neutral spine, which is halfway between your arch and round, opening up to your nice flat back. Roll those shoulders down away from your ears. Again, pressing the back of your head to the sky. Curl the toes under. You're floating your knees off the ground really softly. Exhale, really close to the floor and setting it back down. If your wrists bother you here, you can also come on down to the elbows. It's the tiniest little knee hover, using your exhale to lift you up. Now, more than anything, I want you to zero in on the lower abdominal area. You'll probably feel your thighs a bit too, but By using that exhale to float you off the ground, you get deep low belly and pelvic floor. Think about squeezing your pelvic floor muscles as you float up, as well as trying to hug the pelvic floor up towards the belly button. So there's a lift as well as a squeeze. If that doesn't make sense today, don't worry about it. Pelvic floor stuff is pretty esoteric. You might need to practice it a bit more. I just want you to keep breathing no matter what's coming up for you. Let's find that knee hover and stay floating. Push more actively into the ground as if you're pushing your mat into the basement, and then try to pull your mat towards your knees. Can you see how much more my muscles started to activate when I did that? I get a little shaky in my low abs. This is working, but this is really working. So we want to find that really working sensation. It also helps the quads release a bit. Keep pressing the back of your head up to the ceiling. Hold 5. Big breath in. Exhale. 4. Big breath in. Big breath out. 3. 2. 1 last big breath. Through those back ribs, spread the back ribs apart. Exhale, butt to sky. We just pedal out through the feet. Nice little down dog. And take a moment to run through those legs, starting to feel a nice elongation sensation through the back of the thighs, the back of the calves, all the way down into this Achilles area. But as we're down dog-ing, we're going to make a verb out of it. Hug the rib cage towards the thighs and try to keep the shoulders unshrugged from the ears. So I don't want to be super arched in my back. Instead, hugging the rib cage in. So abs are still very much working here, even though this is a nice release. All right, so now feet are going to come hip width apart. Rise up to your tippy toes. You can always have a little bend in your knees here. I'd rather you have a bend in your knees than a round in your back. And you're going to curl your toe under. Show me a plank. Let's talk about plank form for a moment. You're always welcome to come down to the knees for your plank. What I'm concerned about actually is this diagonal line from shoulders to hips to knees, more so than where the legs are. So if I'm in straight leg plank, same diagonal line. This is not my kneeling plank. This is my kneeling plank, all right? So we're going from nice strong plank, squeezing at the butt, lifting your chest up tall, unshrugging the shoulders, think proud, open collarbones. Inhale, butt up, down dog, hamstring stretch. And exhale, curl it under, nice strong plank. Inhale, releasing and lengthening. Exhale, breathing and strengthening. Inhale up, push the floor away, unshrug through the shoulders. And exhale back down. We have 3 more. I want you to feel that same lift in your pelvic floor as you come forward, and a release of your pelvic floor as you come up. One more time. Let's find plank and hold the plank. Now look at me for a second. Watch me do this once. My butt isn't going to move. I lower the right knee, extend it. Left knee, and extend it. So the knee may or may not actually touch the floor, but I'm not dropping the hips to make that happen. So now you can join me. Inhale and exhale. If you are starting on your knees, you just do the reverse, extend and extend. So you're still getting that stability challenge for the core, but it's a little bit less load on the shoulders and on the back. Butt is active, especially as you straighten the leg. Keep pulling the floor towards your toes. So there's this dragging action that I'm making. My hips are not twisting here. Hips remain nice and square. Are you still breathing? One more on either side. But up to the sky. Spend another moment here, just allowing those heels to melt towards the ground. So it's totally okay if your heels don't touch the floor. Mine certainly don't. The idea is just that we're reaching energetically towards the ground with those heels. Remember, you can always have a nice bend in your back so that we feel a nice recovery happening through the back of the legs. One last deep breath. Try to direct all of your breath into the back of the rib cage and lower to those knees. Our knees separate as wide as the mat. You sit back into your child's pose. And then to get a little bit more out of this child's pose, you're going to walk your arms forward, making them longer, and also all the way over to the side, letting your head rest down on the ground. And breathing through the left rib cage. So I'm kind of facing away from you, but I'm sending all my breath into this left rib. So I'm using the breath to expand and lengthen through the left side of my body, especially through the upper back, as we push the ground down to get even more traction of the spine. Walk it through the center, take your side bend over to the second side, push the ground down, and now you can see a little bit better. I'm really trying to expand that right lung through my rib cage. This is one of my favorite stretches to do after sitting for a long time because that can really build up tension in the back. Just breathing. It's really more about the breath than it is the position that you're in. Because when we hold our breath or we take really shallow breaths, we're not getting this back movement and mobility that we need. Coming back to the center and coming onto your hands and knees once more. We're going to drop down to the elbows and make sure your elbows are now underneath the shoulders. So I don't want to be out here and setting on shoulders right on top of the elbows. And let's bring the palms to face up. So instead of going into this like tried and trusty hand grip that we see a lot of people do in plank, by going palms up and parallel, you're forcing the collarbones to open. So look at my chest where my arms are internally rotated. Exaggerating, but this is what happens to my posture. When I externally rotate, I'm literally opening up at the chest. So especially in a position like this, where our chest is already working really hard, this just really reinforces that open and strong posture. And extend right leg out straight, and pause. Let's keep the hips nice and square to the floor. Press your left shin into the ground, so no tucked toes here. Left shin pressing into the ground. And try not to lean onto your left butt. Weight is over the pubic bone. With a straight right leg, squeeze through the glute to lift that right leg up and carefully place it back down. Exhale as we lift and inhale as we lower. So this is not about getting the biggest lift you possibly can. You can see my back kind of moves when I do that. Instead, I'm drawing in from my low abs. The back can't shift at all. And while maybe my range of motion with my leg is a little smaller, it's actually coming from within the hip rather than from that like twerking spinal action. Pressing down through the forearms as the leg lifts. Think about not just in the elbows, because that's going to put strain on your joint, but instead through the entire forearm. And you're trying to spread those shoulder blades wide. Watch out for that droopy head. Once again, press the back of the head up to the ceiling. And try to co-contract your abdominals with this leg lift. Exhaling on the up, inhaling on the down. Check that your leg is super parallel. So most of us are going to creep into some sort of turnout here. We want all 5 toes to touch the floor when you lower. And keep that kneecap facing ground as you lift. Find that corseting sensation as the leg lifts each time. We're here just for 3. We're going to keep that leg up in 2 and 1. Lift your chest 1 inch taller. Slide those shoulder blades away from your ears. Give me the teeniest, tiniest pulse. And I say pulse very specific.
Helen, can someone let me know if Helen froze for you too? Yes, me too. Okay, she'll rejoin us here. We'll just take a minute wherever you are. If you're still in hands and knees, just come back down into your child's pose and just take a few moments to connect with your breath while we get Helen back on here. Thanks everyone for your patience. This is part of the experience of surrendering, continuing to breathe in your child's pose. taking a moment to connect and just check in with how your body is feeling. Without judgment in your child's pose, just see if you can scan your body. So just a virtual scan from the top of your head, just checking in.
Okay.
And we're here. I had everyone, welcome back.
It's not letting me start my video once again. It says the host has stopped my video.
Okay, you should be able to do it now. Let's see.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we lost the Wi-Fi for a moment, but we were on all fours. Everyone get back on their hands and knees. We have a raise from Chris. Do we have a question before we get back?
I put everyone in child's pose.
Okay.
They're just
always a good bet. Always a
good bet. Their body, scanning and noticing.
Okay, so we were right around here on a pulse, right? So hold this leg up, lift it as high as you can without starting to move the back. So I want that massive, best extension of the hips, and now hamstring curl. See how flexed my foot is? And extend it straight back out. Really pulling the heel into the bottom, and then reaching it back out. Make sure you're not getting that external rotation. Hips stay square to the floor. And I want you to imagine that you're dragging something really heavy in. Check that your arms are still in parallel. Lift your chest up nice and tall. We're here for 5. Squeeze into the glute as the leg bends. 4, 3, 2. Final time, keeping this leg bent but lifted. Make sure it's truly parallel. You're going to press up to the sky before going knee to the floor, and exhaling, knee back up to the sky. Squeeze to lift it up to whatever your max range of motion is. Knee to the ground, and exhale, lift back up. We have a thunderstorm going on here. So hopefully you're also getting the soothing sounds of rain falling on the roof, making this an even more sensory experience for calming. Using your breath to lift the legs, squeeze the butt, but also draw the belly button in towards the spine. For 5. Do you hear that thunder? 4. Lift your chest up taller. Don't let those shoulders sink down. 2. We keep it lifted. Now same little tiny taps on the sky. I want you to imagine that you're pushing the ceiling away with each of these pulses. Like the ceiling's really low, and you have to squeeze your butt for dear life to get that press to go up. For 4, 3, 2.
Everyone, you're amazing for your patience. Helen froze again for me. So let's see if we can get her back. Thunderstorm and a lack of Wi-Fi. She is a trooper. I'm going to send her a message. See if we can get her one more time. There's a first for everything in webinars. So while she's back, we've just done our right side. So maybe just begin to flip your palms over back towards your mat. You can push yourself back into child's pose. We're going to realign. There might be a few more things on that side. So we'll just kind of take this moment again in between that set. See if you can really push your, let's see if we get her back. See if you can really push your kind of bottom back towards the mat. Keep your legs open really wide. Relax your neck, your head. See if you can consciously bring mindfulness to any little muscles in your face that might be still holding tension. I got a hold of Helen and she's coming back. She said there's a huge storm with hail and everything, so everyone send a good little vibe to Helen and know that she is on her way back.
All right. The beauty of virtual events.
Exactly. Everyone's a really good vibe and prayer to have you back. So we're just going to keep going with it. This is
a little hailstorm happening, but we're going right back into the glutes. So you're on your hands and knees and your leg is in the air. I'm just spotlighting myself one more time. Leg is in the air. All right. And now take that knee, bring it towards your armpit and bring it back to the top. Exhale, think of this as a side crunch. I want you to feel that right waistline as you bring the right knee to the right armpit, just for 5. Squeezing the butt as it comes back to that starting position. 3, 2, and 1. Very last thing we do here, hug that knee to your armpit, little pulses in. This is all about the right waistline. Put more weight in your right elbow than in your left. For 3, 2, 1. Rest it all the way down. You can sit back in your child's pose if you like, or you can come on up and just loosen out that hip a bit, going both ways. We're going to spin right to the second side. So if you can do that before another lightning strikes on your all fours. Extend this left leg out straight. Hips are nice and square to the floor. Lift your chest nice and tall. Squeeze the butt. We lift high and lower back down. Exhaling to lift. Inhaling to lower. Watch out that there's no pressure on your joints here. You're using your core strength. You're using your shoulder strength. Pressing that right shin into the ground. Exhaling for each lift. Think about pressing the back of your skull up to the sky, which is a good thing to think about when you're vertical, when you're upright as well. So when you're standing up, of course, the top of your head will be pressing up to the sky, but you also want to think about bringing your earlobes in line with your shoulders and correcting that forward head, especially when you're on your computer and typing, is going to take so much stress off of your neck, which is going to improve the quality of your breath. Let's keep this leg lifted. Little tiny pulses, meaning you'll get that deeper lower abdominal contraction when you breathe, which means your pelvic floor is going to feel better, which means your hips, your knees, your ankles, your back, the whole body likes a good, strong, deep breath. Tiny little pulses for 5. 4, don't let it bounce. 2, keep that leg lifted, pull the foot towards your bottom, then push it back out. Hamstring curl, pull it in, and reach it back out. Squeeze it in, reach it out. Think this is your stretch and this is your strength. I want you to imagine something really heavy that you're dragging towards your butt, pulling it in with your heel. So rather than just flicking my leg back and forth, there's resistance with that visualization that makes it a little bit harder, a little bit more mentally engaging though, a little more mindful. Last 2. And 1, lift up first, squeeze through the butt to lower the knee down, and squeeze to lift it right back up. So once again, I'm not just trying to do as many as possible. I'm thinking about the quality of each movement that I do. So maybe you're even slower than me, but you're thinking about the entire journey of that leg movement rather than just going from floor up. You're thinking about how much pressure and resistance you have to give it to go along the way. And you can play with it both ways. And you'll notice that it's way harder my way, which may not feel amazing in this moment, but it's going to feel better over time as you build that strength. Lift that leg up once again. You go into those little pulses. Think of something really heavy. You're pushing up an inch, down an inch. Or I love to think of that low ceiling that I'm trying to prevent from falling on me. Getting into that glute max or the biggest butt muscle. Ooh, find your balance. A little bit more pressure through the left elbow than in the right. Palms are still facing up if you can. Lift your chest even taller. We're here for 5, 4, 3. Keep that knee in parallel. 2, 1. Last hamstring curl set. Big reach. Shorten it back in. Lengthen, lengthen. Shorten, shorten. Pull it in each time. Try not to sit in that right butt. Keep your weight over your pubic bone. Last 3, 2. When we stay bent, take the knee to the armpit. Take it back to the sky, knee to the armpit, back to the ceiling. Connect into this left waistline. Last 3. We pulse it out in 2 and 1. Pulse 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit it back in your child's pose. Once again, arms really far forward, letting your forehead rest on the ground. And if you need it, you give that hip a little opening up. This is also one of my favorite moves to do after a long day of sitting in a chair, going both ways, just because it brings some synovial fluid into that hip socket, literally lubricating your hip joint so it feels less tight. Okay, flipping onto your back. Let's work a little bit more into our core. Laying on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground. Let your head rest down on the floor. And let's find neutral pelvis. So quickest way to find neutral pelvis is to make a triangle with your hands, pointer fingers together, thumbs together. Bring your pointer fingers to your pubic bone and the heels of your hands to your hip bones. So this bony landmark on the right and left sides of your hips. And your goal here is for the hands to be level. So most of us will sit into a tuck where the pubic bone is higher than the hip points. I'm going to reach my pubic bone forward until this is one flat line. Once you've done that, you can rest your hands on the ground and bring the legs up to a tabletop position. So now, without moving the legs, I want you to tuck your pelvis under, feel your low back press towards the ground, and then return to neutral, all without letting the rib cage move. So I'm not letting the whole spine move. In fact, bring your hands to your ribs, give yourself that feedback, knowing that those ribs stay on the ground, and you tuck and tilt out the pelvis. Thing I see here most often is this. So keep your knees stacked on the hips as they do not move anywhere. This is not a leg exercise. This is a pelvic floor and low ab exercise. A subtle one, but it is. 2 more. And then finding your neutral spine, which means there's maybe a little bit of space underneath your low back, depending on how big the curvature of your lumbar spine is. Rib cage stays anchored to the floor, and you exhale to take the right knee and just lower it towards the ground, and back up to the sky, then left leg, and back up to the sky. So notice that my knee stays bent. I'm maintaining the integrity of that 90-degree fold. I'm not straightening the leg as I do so. For my toe tap, all that's happening is the shape is moving, but the shape is not changing. Requires a lot of abdominal strength to keep from pulling the spine forward as we do so, creating stability for the spine and strength in the lowest, deepest abs. 1 more on either side. And we pause. Get your legs back in tabletop. Take the hands, interlock them behind your head. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Inhale. As you exhale, curl up. Try to get your shoulder blades off the ground. So I'm not here. This halfway position is going to really strain the neck. Instead, I try to slide my ribcage towards the pelvis, deepest curl you possibly can, and lower it back down. Exhale, curl up. Gaze in at your belly button, not up at the sky. That way you're keeping the alignment of the head along the spine and not stressing out the neck like we talked about. As I'm curling up, I'm also actively pressing my head down into my hands so that my neck has no option to take over. Last 2. Last 1, we hold that curl. Keep your chest off the ground, keep your shoulder blades off the ground. Take your right leg, bring it back up. Take your left leg, bring it back up. So hinging from your hips rather than hinging from the knees. And I want you to bring your attention to your low abs. You want to feel a deepening contraction right on the inside of your hip points. So if this is your ASIS, those bony landmarks, bring your hands like 2 inches in. That's where I want you to feel this, that corset-like muscle that wraps around the low waist, your transversus abdominis, helping support that stability of your pelvis. 1 last time, right, left, give yourself a big hug, head to the floor. look right, look left. Let the neck loosen and release. Last combo we do here before we add on or move on is tabletop the legs. You're going to take right leg down. And now as you lift the right leg, curl the head and chest up. Now lower head and left leg and curl everything back up. So adding a little coordination, again, to give our brain a little workout at the same time. Each time you curl, you're bringing the ribcage towards the pelvis. You don't need to get your toes to touch the floor completely. You could even just take it halfway down with the leg, as long as you're able to keep your ribcage on the floor. We're here for 4, 3, 2, last time. Stay in your curl. Get up even higher in your curl. Twist to the right, extend your left leg. This is sort of like your bicycle that we all learned in gym class. Inhale back to center and twist left, extending right leg straight. Keep both butts on the ground. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, big deep twist. Inhale center. This is when I like to visualize the spine as a wet towel that I'm wringing out with each twist. Really connecting into the waistline of the direction that I'm twisting. So as I twist left, really get the left abs to click on, and the right abs to click on. We're here for 3, 2, last time left. Come back to the center. Let's twist right, your first side, and hold. Try to get deeper in that curl. If you absolutely need to, you can also rest your head and chest, and then take your left leg, kick it up, lower it back down. Kick it up, lower it back down. Make sure you're not on your right butt completely. That left butt cheek is still heavy on the floor. For 4, 3, hello, abs. 2, 1, come through the center. Last set here, twist left, extend right leg. Kick up, inhale. Exhale, it goes down. Inhale up. Exhale, it goes down. Big breath in. Big breath out. 4. Get up higher in your curl if you can. 3, 2, nice stretch for those hamstrings at the top. Last one. And relax. Bring your hands to your knees and just bring those knees into your chest. Take a few circles of those legs. So this is similar to what we did on all fours, bringing a little synovial fluid into the hip socket. I like to call it buttering up the hips. And then you can even take this into a happy baby. So options for happy baby, grabbing your calves, grabbing your ankles, or even grabbing the outer edges of your feet, but don't let your tailbone curl off the floor. Try to get your tail on the floor, even if it means you have to walk your hands down lower. I'd rather you get that neutral spine, because that's what's gonna make your hips feel better. That's what's gonna give you the most benefit of this stretch. If you like, you can even play with straightening one leg at a time. I'm gonna bump into my wall here, so I'm gonna skip that and just give myself a little rock from side to side. If that feels good for you, feel free to take it. Try to keep the chest open, let your head be heavy. And then come on out of it. You're gonna flip onto your stomach, and we're gonna go a little bit more into posture. So core work in and of itself is really great for posture because you can't maintain that nice tall position without strong abdominals. But even better here, we go into elbows wider than the shoulders in sort of a goalpost position, forehead down on the ground, legs hip width apart, and pressing your pubic bone to the floor. Unshrug the shoulders away from the ears, zip the belly button away from the ground. And just to clarify before we move on, my belly button is still very much touching the ground. When I say away from the ground, I mean you're engaging it and lifting it, not that you're floating and levitating. I get that question a lot. And now squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift the elbows up. Feel how much that opens at your pecs and you feel the back muscles working. And then rest it back down. Give me 2 more just like that. Shoulder blades squeeze together. They don't shrug. They squeeze together and lower. Last time. And now lift your chest up, keeping the pinch between the shoulder blades. I'm not looking straight ahead, but just at the front of my mat, and lower back down. Get those arms to lift first, so you can feel that activation between the shoulder blades and that opening at the pecs. So this is one of my favorite super simple posture correctors. And the more we build strength in this upper mid back region, the easier it's going to be for us to sit at our desks. Although I definitely recommend getting up to walk as much as you can, whether it's just around your room or just to shake out your legs so that you're not sitting in the same position hours and hours and hours on end. All right, lift up, stay up. Now, once again, just the squeeze between the shoulder blades. So I'm not bouncing. My torso stays the same. The shoulder blades squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay lifted. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Reach the arms overhead. Do not shrug the shoulders. So if you need to keep the elbows bent, as I need to, you totally can. And then squeeze those shoulder blades together as the elbows come back in. Only reaching those arms as far forward as you can without shrugging the shoulders and bringing them back in. So now we're increasing our shoulder mobility as well as continuing to get between the shoulder blades to get stronger. Those rhomboids, those lats. The lower traps. Keep pressing your pubic bone into the floor. You can also lower your head and chest closer to the floor if you're feeling any strain in your low back or your neck. Give me 2 more squeezes. Get those shoulder blades to touch. Massaging your spine with those shoulder blades and resting all the way down. Little figure 8 of your pelvis from side to side. And take your hands underneath your shoulders. So you're going to lift up in one piece into either a kneeling plank or a full plank. Curl your tailbone under, squeeze through the butt, push up flat as a board. So when you do that, avoid body rolling up because it's just better for your back and a little bit more effective for the core. However you got up there, we're up in our plank. And give me an extra wide setup for your legs, shoulders over the hands. Last big challenge we're going to work through today. I want you to feel that connection of the shoulder blades squeezing together as I bring the right hand off the ground for a row and back down, alternating left hand. This, remember, can totally be done on the knees, and this is what's happening. Squeeze that shoulder blades draws together. So I'm still spreading with the arm that's down, but I'm drawing the scapula or the wing of the arm that's bending towards my spine. Try to keep your hips nice and square to the floor. Keep your head in line with your spine, look in front of your mat. No rotating at the pelvis for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower to those knees, sit back on your bum. Take the hands interlocked behind your back and reach the arms up high behind you, lifting your heart up to the ceiling. Let the head fall down towards the chest. And big circle up and around. Big circle the other way. Shake out those hands, let things go. And that concludes your movement portion. I hope you're all feeling amazing, and thank you so much for being patient with me and my internet. We got through it. And
That was amazing.
It's worth the wait. It's always worth the wait.
Yay, thank you. Oh, what a difference like 30, 40 minutes of moving can make.
Right? Just takes a little bit, but getting into your body, getting things working always feels great.
That's amazing. So I'm going to mention a little bit about our plant-based protein. I also want to open this up to any questions. Cheers, we're both in our little mason jar of protein. What did you mix yours with?
Mine is just water. I was feeling lazy today, and also the taste is really good without anything else in it. So
isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And the sweet vanilla.
Perfect. I'm doing sweet vanilla, and I just did frozen berries and water. So pretty simple as well. But as a thank you for all of you coming today, we have a discount code for you. It's Helen Phelan Studio, and you can use it at Sigmatic.com on any Sigmatic products. But of course, what we're all about after you move your body, but really any time, is making sure that you're giving your body the right nutrients it needs to be able to recover and thrive and be able to get to your mat again. And so, of course, I'm going to show you our Sigmatic plant-based protein. I'm so passionate as a nutritionist, and Helen can speak to this too as an intuitive eating coach, about just being really mindful about what we're putting in our body. This is, of course, plant-based protein. So it's coming from 5 different sources of vegan proteins. We left out all of the sketchy ingredients that you so often find in proteins, right? So there's no grains, gums, fillers, soy, natural or artificial flavors. It's truly so pure. And then, of course, full supplement dose, 1,500 milligrams of functional mushrooms for your immune system, and 2 of our favorite adaptogens for stress support. So it's really three and done wellness is what we call it. So really want to thank you all for practicing. Of course, we'll stay and have time to get questions with Helen, but I did want to let you know that we created that code for you. I'll send that as well in a follow-up email to you all with a recording of this. You can go and make this your morning practice. And then Helen, if everyone wants to keep practicing with you, how do they do that?
Absolutely. So I have my own app called Helen Phelan Studio, very creative name. And I also will send you all a code so you get a discount for your first month, because I'd love for you to try it. There's a free 10-day trial. I do 3 new workouts each week, and each month is a theme. This month we're working on spinal rotation and how that can open up tightness in the back and help you build deeper core strength. And 2 of those workouts are on demand, and 1 of those workouts is a live stream that I do every Friday. I also do semi-private live classes weekly on Wednesday nights. So I have one at 6 p.m. tonight if you feel like doing double duty Eastern time.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can find booking information for that on my website, helenphelanstudio.com. Oh, and my Instagram, Helen V. Phelan.
Yes, and I'll make sure to put all of that in our follow-up email to you all so that you can be sure to keep up with Helen. And yeah, your specialty is being able to do this online. So how amazing. We're all coming from different states, different parts of the country, and we can still tune in and be able to practice together. I'm really grateful for you being so kind of just chill and organic with the internet and the Wi-Fi and the storms, and that's part of it, right? It's like that's why we practice, and it was kind of
roll off.
yeah, it's like a real life example. You know, I teach yoga too, and it's like, okay, yeah, we want to do all of these things on the mat so that when real life situations happen, we remember to breathe and remember to not let our mind go, and that we stay in our body. And so it was actually really perfect.
I love that. I love that. I feel like, looking at the questions here, can we see both of you at the same time, please? I wonder if we do, can you see us now? Or maybe you have to, as the host, to gallery view us?
I think we're in gallery view now, hopefully. That's what it looks like on mine.
Okay. I'm on a biologic medicine that suppresses my immune system to fight psoriatic arthritis. Do the mushrooms counteract? Oh, that's a question for Danielle.
Yeah, that's a big question, Lisa. I wish I could give you a more direct answer, but legally, as not being your healthcare practitioner, I can't speak to specific ailments that you're dealing with. However, we can speak to the ingredients at large. Either myself or our customer support team can give you direction on how to do your own research to find what functional mushrooms or other natural allies might be a good fit for you. So, you know, functional mushrooms in general are known as immune modulators. So they, in my private practice as an herbalist, I used to work with them primarily for individuals with autoimmune conditions. They have the ability to either stimulate or downregulate our immune system based on our body's needs. So I will give you that. And then you can reach out to support@sigmatic.com, and we can help give you the tools to find the research that you need for your specific body. Thank you for asking. And
find you both. I'll type that in here just because so it's easier to access, right? Helen Phelan Studio. And you could feel free to jump in with your info.
Yeah, and someone asked where you are located. I think it was with the storm, but you're still in New York State, right? Even though
I'm in upstate New York, about 3 hours out of the city.
Amazing. Yeah.
What else is coming up? Do you want to chat about what's coming up for Sigmatic, and then I can give some updates about what's going on for me too?
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll hear about this more later, but the next webinar that I have this month is with a wonderful woman named Natalia Benson, and it's going to be Astrology 101. So we'll be finding focus and ease and a little bit of context in what's going on in the world, in our lives, and be able to really tune in and find a sense of peace as we kind of all together focus in on ending out the year in strength and in as much kind of balance and ease as possible. So you'll get emails about that. If you follow for Sigmatic, either through our email list or through our social, you'll hear more about that later, but that's coming up on the 22nd of this month. What's coming up for you, Helen?
I think this is maybe it for big events coming up anytime soon. I did a bunch of cool events over the summer. But as I said before, I teach my weekly live class at 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. And I also live stream on the app, the Helen Phelan Studio app, every Friday at 12 Eastern. So those are weekly fun things. I also have a weekly newsletter where it's sort of like a love letter. I hit you up with my latest blog, any wellness news that I've been creeping on in the world that day, lots of recommended reading, and usually a tutorial or two on alignment or technique, or answering questions that people reach out to me on Instagram with. So you can find that on my website, helenphelanstudio.com. There should be a pop-up where you can sign up for it if that's of interest to you. And yeah, hopefully something else with Sigmatic again very soon.
Yeah, this was such a blast. If anyone has any questions, last minute questions right now, yeah, some of you are saying you can't see the chat. Sorry about that. You're just able to see the Q&A. But all of the resources that Helen and I have talked about today, I'll make sure to include all of that in our follow-up email. You'll get that tomorrow, so don't worry. And yeah, just so grateful. Yeah, how long are plays available? Paula, I think you mean the replay of this, and it'll be available for the foreseeable future. So I'm going to put that on YouTube, so you'll get a link to it tomorrow, and then you can watch it at your own discretion as much as you'd like. Everyone's saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Helen, that was so awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate, again, your patience with the internet, and I hope we got enough. Was that Jill asking about posture? I can't remember that far back up in the Q&A, but I hope we got enough of that postural stuff in so that you're feeling a little bit taller. You can't see me. Oh no. Well, we're almost done. So
We'll see her on the recordings. It'll be a snapshot of my screen. So thanks again, Helen. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk very soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.